I'm Riley, and in this video I'm presenting my app Fluently that I have designed for my UX Immersive program. I'll be sharing with you my design process while building a new language learning app for iOS. In this video, you will learn about my user research methods, usability problems I discovered along the way, and how I went about providing solutions for these problems to ultimately create a more effective user experience for learning a new language. Let's get started. What is Fluently, you may ask? Fluently is the name of my mobile app, and the purpose of this product is to become fluent in the target language you are learning. Before I share the features and benefits of this product, let's start from the beginning phases of my design thinking process. My first step in the design thinking process is to understand and observe my user base with conducting user research. With Fluently, I started by creating a Google survey which provided me indirect feedback regarding people's feelings and experiences towards language learning products they have used recently. From there, I went on to facilitate 5 user interviews with people who are currently either learning a new language or have recently tried to learn a new language. This allowed me to develop a relationship with a target audience through direct communication. With my user interviews, I discovered the various ways people went about learning a new language and found some common patterns and challenges that people face in the process. My research and observational data gathered from my interviews gave me key insights regarding the direction I plan to take with my product, but I was not quite ready yet. I also needed to synthesize the data I collected into something meaningful. This leads me to my third step, which is the conceptualization phase of the design thinking process, where I take my inspirations and turn them into full-fledged ideas for my product, starting with my users' POVs, points of view, by creating a primary user persona. The ultimate goal of creating my primary persona is to generate empathy for my potential users, those for whom I'm designing. By bringing these groups of customers to life in the form of an archetype, we humanize them, empathize with them, and create better designs for them. And this is how Maria was created. In the United States, we remain the country of choice for the largest number of international students, hosting about 1.1 million of the 4.6 million enrolled worldwide in 2017. Maria happens to be one of those students who's on a foreign exchange student program and taking her spring semester to study English in California. Maria is 22 years of age, an avid learner, and also an early adopter of technology. Maria needs a way to communicate using her target language, which is English, with other people so that she reinforces what she has learned and feels comfortable speaking the language. Although her classes are helping, she is surrounded by other foreign exchange students currently and needs to practice by making friends with the locals in her community. She is also driven by people who help motivate her and would like to improve her writing skills. I believe that by creating a language learning app that helps connect Maria with native speakers, is visually appealing and not monotonous, uses speech recognition, and improves her writing skills, I will keep Maria engaged and she will enjoy the time required to learn a new language. Now that I've defined my user persona, I can move on to the next phase of the design thinking process, which is to ideate. I analyzed how Maria would navigate and engage in my product and process the information that I structured. I began the ideation process by identifying the main tasks I will need Maria to complete in order to accomplish her goals. After identifying 2 main entry points and the success criteria and building out the information architecture, I was ready to move on to the next step. My next step is to prototype. At this point, I've explored the problem space, conducted user interviews, created a primary persona, and outlined the tasks and flows necessary to design a positive experience for a language learning app. Now I'm moving on to prototyping and building a more physical and interactive system around the flows with sketching and wireframing. These are the sketches which later turned into wireframes. I'll share my wireframes and start with my onboarding process, which takes Maria through an introduction of screens that show the benefits of using my application and addresses her needs. My first and primary feature I designed is a way for Maria to meet up with native speakers and practice having real conversations to keep motivated in the learning process. She is also provided the choice to make audio and video calls if on certain days she is unable to meet up with people in her community. The second feature I created is to help Maria continue to expand her language knowledge by taking a course with the immersive program. And lastly, my third feature is for Maria to practice writing with a bot. Maria was having difficulty with her writing capabilities, so the idea of interacting with a bot will help improve her grammatical errors, spelling errors, and sentence structure. As part of registering Maria as a new user, I've created a set of sign-up and login screens. These screens are not presented in the onboarding process, but rather later after Maria has engaged in the app's features. I designed a profile section where Maria is able to edit and customize her profile, as well as an admin section where Maria can access her account information. The primary feature I designed for Maria is the ability to schedule a meetup with a native speaker. This user flow consists of viewing best recommended matches based on location and language experience, viewing native speaker's profile, scheduling the meetup in person, confirming availability, and afterwards viewing the meetups Maria has scheduled. The second feature I designed for Maria takes Maria through her first course with English and helping her to expand her knowledge by speech recognition pronunciation tests, introducing new words and matching them to the related pictures, as well as typing out the words seen in Spanish and translating the words to English. After completing the low-fidelity prototype, I began my usability test. I started by creating a test plan, recruiting participants from the target audience of language learners, conducting the usability test in person and remotely, and summarizing my findings from all participants in a usability test report. The direct tasks I tested were first getting started by reading the onboard feature flow. After finishing the feature flow and landing on the best match home screen, triggering the sign up screen in order to connect with other people. Second, once sign up is completed, viewing and customizing your profile. Third, scheduling a meetup with a person who is proficient with the language you are learning, confirm the meetup, and view the meetup that has been scheduled. Fourth, start course 1. Say the word, match the pictures, type the words, and then continue to the course 2. My usability test was conducted to evaluate my product's usefulness. This experience gave me a glimpse in seeing how real people interact with my product to determine whether it serves its intended purpose. I was able to directly observe another's behavior and interaction with my prototype. I used Jacob Nielsen's 5 components of usability framework for examining the usability of my product and focusing with this project on one of the most important components being errors. After completing the usability test, I noticed that there were some details that deserved my attention, and I began to outline and design solutions. One of the many problems I observed is that I did not add a few micro interactive screens to provide feedback that the user completed the input fields of those particular screens. For instance, the sign-up flow and showing that the user had filled out the input field with their email before moving on to the next screen. My solution is to comp out additional screens to provide a more natural experience without assuming the user knows what will happen next. My second problem, not asking what language level the user is currently at before having them start the language learning course flow. My solution, asking during the onboarding phase what language level the user is currently at before continuing. I documented this as part of my information architecture entry point, but missed the screen when sketching and wireframing. And third, 2 of the users did not know they needed to scroll vertically in order to press the CTA to reserve a meetup. My solution, I need to break up the content of the reserve meetup page by designing a choose date page as one screen and write a message and confirm as second screen. There were a few more improvements I needed to make with the language learning course and testing my bot practice feature, which in the next iteration I plan to do. I learned that identifying the main tasks my persona will need to complete to accomplish her goals and building the information architecture is a very important step in the design thinking process. When I got to sketching and rapid prototyping, I missed a few steps that I had already thought through in building the information architecture phase. I learned that while rapid prototyping, it's important to check your work in prior steps and make sure you account for all screens a user may need in order to complete the task. When sketching, I noticed that I needed to continue to practice whiteboarding and drawing as I missed a few details that I did not catch until I got to building my wireframes. I really enjoyed conducting my first usability test, and since it was my first, I learned a great deal about why it's so important that we test our designs. Watching users find bugs and not know how to rectify the problem was a hard thing to oversee as a designer. Yet, this valuable information and receiving their input is what helps us build better products in the future. I look forward to continuing to practice this design thinking process and making improvements with the next iteration. Thanks for watching.